Hey, what's up everyone, Instinct here, and today we'll go over our plate carrier setup, this to show you the thought process that came along with it. First off, keep in mind that the setup we will show you today is a custom setup for what we do with it. We've built this setup by trying out different stuff and hereby gaining knowledge. Also, be aware that we ourselves are continuously going through this learning process and that this stuff might change over time. Now, our plate carriers will highly probably differ from yours, but we want to share this stuff with you to teach you the thinking process. If you guys don't agree on certain stuff and want to express your feelings, because we all need to do that in some way, make sure to let us know how you feel in the comments down below. Now, most of you will already know that we use Tasmanian Tiger gear. Why? Because it's good and reliable stuff. We'd rather put a little extra money in this stuff than paying 50 to 60% of the pricing of the real stuff for Airsoft reproductions. So, if you're getting serious about doing Airsoft or Milsim, the quality of the real stuff is enormous and it's definitely worth every penny in our eyes. When it comes to our plate carriers, we both use the MK3 of Tasmanian Tiger. I use the large, extra large, and my brother used the small, medium-sized one, which might be a bit controversial because my brother is bigger than me, but what the hell. The difference is that I have the ability to carry more pouches on my front and back panel because I have 8 molly loops in a row, and my brother only has 6, but he has better maneuverability with his carrier. I can also carry bigger size tappy plates, but it's not that we put our lives on the line by doing airsoft. If that was the case, we would have a big problem, I guess. By the way, speaking of plates, for sport or training purposes, some carriers absolutely need plates to stay in shape and function like they are meant to. For example, mine can function perfectly without them, but my brother's carrier is smaller and although it can function without, it's actually better with plates in it. We know they are somewhat hard to find in the EU, but we found a very good manufacturer that is specialized in these. My brother got his from Trident Gear. Now, let's get over to what we've attached on it. So, first when setting up your plate carrier, it's important to know how it will interact with your military style belt, if you're using one. This means you have to know what happens when you're doing things like running, laying down or even traversing certain obstacles. As always, we base our setup on 3 fundamentals, namely easy access, efficiency of movement and minimal stuff. So, let's start with the front first. In general, the things you need to access by yourself on your carrier is the stuff that we consider to be in 160 degrees up to a maximum of 180 degrees of your access space. Beyond that space won't be easy to access by yourself, so use that space wisely. Now, the front of our carriers are obviously filled with M4 style magazines. For this we use the TT SGL Mag Pouch Bell M4 pouches. These have a retention strap which reduces the chance for losing a mag to almost zero. Why do we do it like this? Because when you hit that ground to get low and get to eat that dirt, you will in most cases do this with your front panel hitting the ground. This means whatever is on the ground can possibly loosen up your mags when they're not well retained. But then how about fast accessing your mags? Well, that's not for our front panel, that's for our belts, which allow for a faster access. If you want to learn everything about how we set up our belts and understand the thought processes that come along with it, take a look at the link in the description down below. What I also have on my front panel is a TT Tac Pouch 1 Vertical, which is basically a utility pouch to access all of my camera materials, like batteries and SD cards. This so I can quickly change that stuff in the field, so unless you record your adventures too, you can simply replace it with something you might need in an instance. Now, we could also carry a pouch beneath our carriers, but we don't do that because it limits our movement capabilities, for example when we're bending forward. My brother carries his utility pouch on his right side as much as possible to the front, because he has less space to use on his front panel, although this might cause a slightly less efficient draw than when it's fully empty like mine is. Speaking of your dominant shooting side, to get the fastest and easiest sidearm draw, the best thing you can do is keep your carrier empty on that side. Now, we've seen some guys running around with double layers of pouches on their front panel. We once tried that, but quickly realized that that not only limited our mag access, but also our movements. And if, again, we needed to hit the dirt, it was just a tremendous uncomfortable position to be in. But this of course also comes down on how many magazines you need to carry as an individual. Another thing we see people sometimes do is carry their sidearm on their front panel of their carrier. And I've got to be honest, that stuff looks really cool. But it will probably be one of the last things you see us do. This is because 1. Our magazines might hang too high to be easy accessed with a pistol on top of them. And mainly 2. When using a sling when switching shoulders or switching to your sidearm, the thing will only interfere in a bad way. Furthermore, we have our PTT on our left side of our front panel. Why the left side? Because again, we're right-handed shooters, so we can aim and shoot if necessary, while still being able to communicate over our comms. On the right side, we have our drinking tube, because drinking keeps you in the game, and we just don't want to die from dehydration. We also carry our training knives from the S-blades up front through the molly loops, for those stealthy knife kills. Although we are questioning ourselves if this would be easier to access on our belts with some sort of holster system. Food for thought. So let's get to our left side. A thing to notice is that we both use vented sides rather than the closed ones. This with the reason to lose heat as much as possible, as fast as possible. I myself possess the fully closed molly ones that allow to carry side plates, but yet again, why would I use them for airsoft? They would only slow me down. What we both do carry on our left side, as much as possible to the front, is another TT SGL Mag MCL pouch, like we carry on our belts. This is our second pouch that allows for a quick fast mag capability. Another thing to notice is the orientation of our magazines. This basically comes down to what you personally think is the best way to do it. I carry my mags facing towards the left side, while my brother carries them facing towards his right. Furthermore, to the back we carry a TT TAC Pouch 3 radio. This is a small universal radio pouch which is ideal for our Midland G18 radios. This is obviously a spot we cannot reach ourselves, but it's not a necessity to access them for what we currently do. We usually set our channel or frequency and lock it.
Key lock.
This way we cannot accidentally switch to another channel or frequency, and if we would need to change, we can just ask a teammate to do it. Now, in order to actually communicate with each other, we currently use the Assault Tactical Throat Mics and PTT from Code Red headsets. First off, why a throat mic? Well, this is because we both use mesh facial protections to protect our pretty smile against incoming BBs. So, wearing something on our faces gets very uncomfortable with those mesh masks. But we currently also are questioning ourselves about ear protection, because some events or fields allow sound devices up to 120 decibels and we like to keep our hearing so we don't need to yell at each other like old men do. But other than that, these throat mics and PTTs don't work very well, and we are currently looking for something more reliable and possibly more expensive as well. Now, back to that left side. Something we also consider about is that we're not carrying too much stuff underneath our arms to allow for more freedom of movement. We also keep as much space as possible empty, so the magazines on our 9 o'clock of our belt don't interfere too much with our other stuff. Another thing I wanted to mention is that we've seen lots of people trying to fill up almost every single molly loop they can find. And if it's not done with pouches, it's sometimes done with light sticks. But guys, remind that the excessive use of light sticks in your molly loops doesn't only make them very clumsy to reach, it also makes you look like a tactical Christmas tree. So guys, like we already mentioned before, only carry the stuff you really need. Next, we have our back panel. We used to run a TT bladder pouch with a WXP 3-liter hydration system from Source, but we've recently changed that to a TT TAC Pouch 11. While our old setup with the bladder pouch enabled us to carry up to 3 liters of water, it didn't allow us to carry any other stuff we needed. So, this small backpack we're using nowadays allows us to carry a smaller 1-liter bottle, and together with the Source Tactical Convert tube, we can easily take a drink from it in the field. This backpack has a MOLLE system on the inside, and it is also a compressible bag. This furthermore gives us the ability to carry more personal belongings like our keys, ID and phone. By the way, we always carry that stuff with us in case of emergency. This setup also allows us to carry our power banks for our GoPro head cams directly on the back. The outside also has pockets to carry stuff for our teammates like extra magazines, grenades and all that kind of stuff. At last is the right side of our carrier, which is our dominant hand side, and like mentioned before, we keep this side as empty as possible for that quick draw capability. So that's it guys, our plate carrier setup for doing airsoft and the thought processes that came along with it. Hope you learned something from this video. Please let us know what plate carrier you use in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, because this enables us to help you even better. Thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next week. But it's not that we've put our lives on the danger.
On the danger.
What I also have on my front panel is a TT pack
pouch.
The excessive use of light sticks in your MOLLE loops doesn't only make them very clumsy to reach, it also makes you look like a crust. We also carry our training knives from the
On the F-blades.
You have to know what happens when you're doing things like running, laying down or even transverting vertical obstacles. Dat was helemaal verkeerd, dat gesproken.